everyone. I'm Heather Wen, a retired nurse practitioner and the founder and practitioner at Arizona Healing Alternatives. On this channel, you'll find several videos, what I like to call aha moments, where we'll be discussing issues that impact your health. So whether you decide to use Western medicine, alternative medicine, or even a mix of both, I'm passionate about you knowing what your options are. For today's aha moment, we're going to be talking about something a little bit more serious today, which is why is it that bad things seem to happen to really, really good people? Well, what I'm going to tell you, first of all, is I don't have the answer to that. But what I'd like to do is go through some different perspectives on that and different schools of thought on that in hopes that it can help you make peace with that. So stay tuned. Honestly, when looking at this issue, I get that question all the time with people in my practice, where it's like, why does it seem, Heather, that, I know all these really wonderful people and that all these bad things are happening, and yet these really bad people, things aren't happening to them the way they would want them to? That's a really hard one. And so what I do is I talk to people about, first of all, I want them to know what their personal belief systems are, because there's different schools of thought when it comes to things like this. First of all, I know, and I've seen in my practice, I've seen patients that do everything right. They eat healthy, they take their supplement, they do all the stuff that they're supposed to do, they exercise, everything like that, and they still get sick, or they get cancer, or they get something that's really serious. And even if they've done everything, both Western and alternative or whatever, sometimes they make it through, and sometimes, unfortunately, they die or pass away. And that is one of the most heartbreaking things that I've seen in my practice. It's very, very, very difficult. And so you have to first ask yourself, what are my belief systems and things like that? Because there's some people who come from the religious perspective. There are some schools of thought that are, that it's beyond what we can know here because that's up to God. Completely valid points, and a lot of people make sense of it that way. There are people in the metaphysical realm that believe, if they believe in past lives, they believe in karma, and they believe that, well, this may be something that happened in a past life that they're bringing into this life. That can be very helpful for people too. But if you're the one who's going through it, I beg you to find whatever means something to you about this. It's so important to find out how you feel, because I work with people a lot where they think that in their construct, the God is a punishing sort of God. Look, I'm doing everything right. How come I can't do this? Or how come I do this? Or how come I'm sick? And it comes down to making peace with that. And so I encourage you to either find, if it's a religious figure, to go to your church and get some help with that. Or if it's a metaphysical thing, if it's something that needs counseling where you can talk through with that. Because honestly, like I said, I don't have the answers to that. And it's one of the hardest things that I have to see in my practice. But it's important for you in your way to come to terms with it and make peace with it. Because I tell people flat out, they could follow everything that they're gonna do, they could follow everything right, and still things don't go the way they want them to, for whatever reason that you want to put in perspective with that, whatever reason that happens. So it's about, how do you make peace with that, and how do you feel as comfortable as you can with it, knowing that I always tell people too, you can walk in front of a bus tomorrow. So what I tell people is that you need to live your life as if you're going to walk in front of a bus tomorrow. No regrets, nothing left unsaid. And if there are regrets, working through that. So whether you do traditional therapies for that, counseling, life coaches, whatever you do, and if you're still struggling with it and having trouble, in some cases you might need medications or Western medicine medications that can help. And what I do, it's emotional reprogramming, making sure the medications are in harmony with the body if you need medications. And so some of the ways that I deal with it in my practice is not only emotional reprogramming, and what emotional reprogramming does is it helps the person stay in a neutral space with it, so they're not wasting their precious energy of their body, either getting so upset about it, because if they're trying to heal and they're trying to feel better and they're doing all these things and they're upset and angry, it's okay to do that and let it roll through the body. But if they're upset and angry, that's a lot of energy used on that versus healing. So we do emotional reprogramming. I do emotional reprogramming with them for that, to help get in that neutral space, as well as sometimes it can actually be an allergy. Now, the allergy harmonization procedure, Dr. Viktor Frankl recognized the emotions of the body, and there's different emotional corrections to do on the physical level. One of them that I think is most fascinating is the vials called acceptance of. So there's acceptance of sick, acceptance of health, acceptance of love, acceptance of misery, acceptance of poor, acceptance of rich, all these different things that you could actually be allergic to. So that can really help people, especially with acceptance of life, acceptance of all those different things, that if that shows up, we get the body in harmony to get it in a neutral space. So the body's not wasting a lot of energy and time getting upset about these issues and helping them to try to deal with and come to terms with some of these issues. And this also goes back to, in prior videos, I've talked about this ladder of progress, where people are like, wait, how come these issues keep coming around again? I encourage you to watch that video because it talks about that in detail. As far as, well, why is it, even if it's not a life or death thing, why is it that I keep, getting these issues and these issues keep coming up? It's this perfection thing, and you watch the perfection video as well. But those are also things that tend to frustrate people about, well, why is it I'm doing my work, I'm journaling, I'm doing whatever I need to do, and yet these issues keep coming up. And that's that acceptance of just being in the space that you're in wherever you're at, and realizing that life is a process until we die, truly. But it really is looking at it and coming to terms for yourself as to what works for you, because it's very sad to see that, because you can be easy when someone says, oh, well, they have liver cancer, but they drank their whole life. Well, there's the explanation. It still doesn't help, and it doesn't help that person, no matter if they smoked and they have lung cancer. Okay, but it's harder when somebody is doing all the right things and things happen to them anyway. So if you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. You can also hit that notification bell. You can also leave comments for me. Please leave any comments that you have. I'm happy to answer them. And please just work on what makes sense to you, because what makes sense to you may not make sense to everybody else, but it's how you have to tackle these complex issues and be able to resolve them and be at peace with them, no matter what modality you choose to help you out. Take care and have a good one.